Welcome to this lesson on rate equations. You can go ahead and write these notes inside of your composition book. So let's begin our lesson. So let's go ahead and talk about distance. So the variable that we're going to use to represent distance would be d. And anytime you read a word problem, look for the following units, such as miles, meters, feet, inches, centimeters, and kilometers. All of these units mean distance. Time is the next item that we should be aware of. So we're going to use T to stand for time. And whenever you're reading a word problem, look for these units, such as hours, minutes, seconds, days, and weeks. All of these units stand for time. And the last word we're going to talk about is called rate. And we're going to use the rate as R to represent rate. So anytime you see the word per in your problem, that means rate. So you might see it as miles per hour or miles per gallon. Anytime you see the word per, it means the rate. Or rate means the speed, how fast something is going. So how fast does your car use gas? How fast is your car going on the road? How fast are you reading a book? Rate means how fast something is going. So in order to solve a rate equation, we can write it as a multiplication equation or a division equation. So let's talk about the multiplication equation first. I'm going to write it as my distance, or d, is equal to rate times time. So if I multiply the rate and the time, that's going to get me my distance. For the division equation, if I write the same exact equation as d equals r times t, what I can do is I can go ahead and solve for r to get r by itself. So since I'm multiplying by t, let's go ahead and divide both sides by t to get r by itself. So then t goes away, now r is alone. And on the left hand side we have distance divided by time. So another equation for the division equation could be your rate is equal to your distance divided by time. Both formulas mean the same exact thing, but one is using multiplication and the other one is using division. So for this problem, it says the Turner family drove 1,764 miles across the United States on their vacation. It took them 28 hours. Write and solve a multiplication equation to find their average speed in miles per hour. So let's go ahead and write down the information that we have. The distance. If I read through the problem, it says miles was 1,764 miles, so that's my distance. My time, if I keep reading, it said it took 28 hours, so 28 would be the time. And the rate, if you read the problem, it says find the average speed in miles per hour. There's that word per. So I don't know what it is, so I'm going to call R. Let's keep it as a variable. They want us to write a multiplication equation. So given the information before, we know the multiplication for finding distance would be distance is equal to the rate times time. So we know the distance is going to be 1764 equals rate, we don't know the rate, times 28. So in order to solve this problem, we can draw a fulcrum down the center of the equal sign. We're going to start on the right hand side because that's where the variable is. So since I'm timesing it by r, let's get rid of 28 by dividing both sides by 28. The 28 goes away on the right hand side and r is all alone. And 1,764 divided by 28 is equal to 63. So because they're asking for rate, I need to make sure my answer says 63 miles per, because it's the rate, hour. And that's the answer. So for this example, it says the Turner family drove for 28 hours. If they were traveling at a speed of 63 miles per hour, write and solve a division equation to find how far they traveled. So let's go ahead and list down all the information that we know. So the distance, the time, and the rate. So So after reading the problem, it says the family drove for 28 hours. So 28 hours would be our time. And then it says if they were traveling at a speed of 63 miles per hour, there's that word per. Per means rate or R. So 63 goes here. Then it says how far did they travel? Well, I don't know how far they traveled, so I'm going to call it D. So I'm going to use a division equation to solve this problem. So if you think back from the first slide, the division equation that we came up with was R is equal to distance divided by time. So now let's go ahead and plug in these information. The R is 63. The distance we don't know. Divided by 28. So another way we can write this would be 63 is equal to D divided by 28. It's the same thing. So in order to solve this problem, let's isolate D. Draw the fulcrum. In order to isolate D, let's go ahead and do the opposite of division. So multiply both sides by 28 over 1 times 28 over 1. On the right-hand side, the 28's go away, and D's by itself. And when I multiply 28 times 63, I get 1,764 miles. And that's how far they traveled.